Good morning, everyone. Joella May here. Don't forget to like and subscribe down at the bottom. Can you believe it? Today is day 55 of my 60-day guided meditation inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I can't believe I only have 5 more days in my commitment. That's like crazy. When I started it, it was 60 days. That's 2 months. I've been doing this every day for almost 2 months now. By the end of the week, it'll be a full 2 months. I can't believe it. Today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday is my last guided meditation day for these videos. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing them every day. It's been my routine now that in 5 days my life will change. I mean, I'm still going to do the videos, but I won't be doing the reflections anymore. Because I'll be moving on to another phase. I'm going to probably dive into another influencer. I'm really looking at Aubrey Marcus being the next one that I really dive into. I've gone back and forth with the different influencers, but yeah. So today's meditation I did was Dr. Joe Dispenza's Synchronizing Your Energy to Abundance. It's just over an hour long. Last night I was so tired, I clicked an abundance video, but it wasn't the same one, and I passed out to it, so I can't really tell you anything about it, because I think it was only a 20-minute video. Yeah. That's the one. I was looking at the list, all I saw was abundance, and put it on, and I fell asleep, like, within that 10 minutes. It was crazy. How I woke up and my TV was silent and I was all confused. It feeds to the next meditation, which usually is in Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it did, but it was on pause. I don't know. I don't pay for YouTube, so I still get commercials. Oh, that meditation was so relaxing. It was so nice. I love being able to explore the darkness with him. He takes me to places and like keeps me going. That's what I love about his guided meditations. It's like when you start to feel that you're drifting off a little bit, especially this one, he pulls you back into it really well. I know some of the other ones that are just music, it's hard to like pull yourself back into it, but when he talks, and what I love about this video is he's continuously connecting you to your heart and going through what I'm going through. It's really important for me to stay connected to my heart, to remind myself to love myself every moment of my existence. So I get good at saying that I love myself, but sometimes when the sadness creeps in or the loneliness creeps in, it makes me wonder, am I loving myself enough? Why am I feeling that sadness? Why is that sadness creeping in? Why am I feeling the loneliness if I'm happy with myself? This is something I've been going through the past few days, missing that human connection, wanting to be able to bond with someone, I think is my biggest thing right now. But, it's like, you can easily bond with other people, but to find someone that I want to bond with, that's going along the same path as me, I guess I haven't put myself out there enough to find them. I'm still in that hermit mode, what is it? My second husband always used to call me a meerkat when we go to restaurants, because I look up and I look around, and I look up and I look around, and then yeah, it's like I want to see the world, but at the same time, it's like, oh, overwhelming. And I get so easily overwhelmed when I'm out in the world that I was like, oh. I'm like, okay, I'm putting myself out there for 5 or 10 minutes. Make magic happen. All right, I didn't find the perfect person. Let me crawl back into my hole. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I want to stay connected to people I get connected to, but we all have our busy lives, and when I connect with people, most of the time they're not in the same thought process as me. And the ones that are in the same thought process as me live so far away that I can only chat with them on the phone here and there. So that kind of gets difficult. Yeah, I'm still so hurt by the way my husband left me that I'm just, the thought of going out and meeting new people makes me cry every time. I need to shift this feeling. It's been going on for almost a week now. I get good moments, but they don't seem to stay. I don't know. I guess I gave too much of my energy away with my last road trip, and I haven't been able to get it all back yet. I just want to stay in meditation all day so I can release the rest of this energy. But I know I have to go work today because I didn't work last weekend. And like I said, that probably threw me off because now I'm not in my routine. My routine for the past month is that I go out and work 2 days, maybe 3, and then I'm home the rest of the week. And I only worked that one day before my trip to visit my sister, and I haven't worked since. And starting all these new ventures and everything, what little monies I had gathered is dwindling quickly. But I haven't been able to ground myself to focus enough to go back out there and work again. I don't know what happened. I know I had my monthly while I was sleeping in my car, and I didn't get to do some of my rituals. So I don't know if that's what has me off center. I've been working on different avenues this past week, diving into things a little bit differently. But I don't know. I was feeling, it might be the month thinking about it, because I was super happy in May. Like, May was great. But now that June's here, I feel heavier, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's because it's hitting me because the season's changing and there's things that I didn't do for this season yet in preparation. Maybe that's why. I still try to analyze myself right now. It was nice that the meditation was able to pull me out of that for a little bit. I'm just getting all heady talking to you now. I'm not staying in my reflective moments. I think I need to start doing some of my other rituals, ritual stuff, however you want to phrase it. It's up to you. Still start doing that R, I guess. Yeah. I didn't do my Holly yesterday. I think I only had the one dose left anyway. Can't go to the herbalist till tomorrow. She's only open from Wednesday to Saturday. So hopefully I'll do that. And then I'm gonna spend the next couple of days packing, get ready, and prepare myself for eating fire. I'm gonna go learn how to eat fire. What? Yeah, I paid for a class with Thomas Santiago. I'm really excited. Yeah, I interviewed him a year or so ago for the magazine that I never brought into fruition because I was too scattered. I'm still scattered, trying to collect myself. I don't know. Hopefully one day I'll get there. Went to the doctor yesterday. She did a freeze. My little wart. I've been trying to get rid of it for years. Because I've gotten the over-counter freeze things, but they didn't seem to work enough. This one, I felt the difference for sure. I'm supposed to put Vaseline and a Band-Aid on it to keep it moist. I haven't done that yet, so hopefully I'll do that after I finish this video. And do my drink and find that last dose of Holly, and maybe that'll help a little bit. I can't wait to go to the herbalist tomorrow to see if my body's doing any better. Yeah, because I don't know where my mindset is this week. It's very scattered. I need to get it focused because I got a lot of paperwork to do this week. I got classes to take this week, and I don't have my office ready yet. So I'm like extra scattered, trying to figure out how I'm going to do this without having my workspace set up. But it'll all come into fruition eventually, hopefully sooner than later. Yeah, I'm just not in the mood to put on any light, so you have to deal with my shadowy self. I do think I need to move around though. Start to sit up. I don't have you in the phone holder the way I normally do, so you might fall. Let's see if I can sit up before I say goodbye. That worked. Oof. Oof. Ah, the mornings. Oh. Ugh, enough of that burping. Oh my goodness. Get a little affirmation water. Yeah, after I do a couple of things, I think I want to do another video, because the other one that was going to come up is, it's another guided meditation for abundance, but it says, speaking these words will signal your brain for wealth. So I need to look them up on my phone to find the links so I can put them in the description box. Yeah. Sometimes it's harder to find the video that's on the TV on my phone, vice versa. I guess because it goes through different searching engines. I don't know. It was like, I went to go visit a friend of mine yesterday that I knew was having a hard time. Because his wife passed away last week. Yeah. It's one of the hardest things to deal with when you lose someone that you care about. Whether you lose them you lose them unexpectedly, whether it's from death or abandonment. It's just the way it is. I don't know what's more comforting, losing someone in the middle of loving them, or having them leave you before they're lost, before they're gone. What I mean by that is I was just remembering a very dear friend of mine. Him and his wife were together, 25, 30 years or something. And then they start experimenting with life and opening their relationship to be more open, going to swingers clubs and stuff. And they loved it. They had a great time. Until she started loving someone else more than her partner. And then she left her partner. And, they still stayed friends, but he had to go through that withdrawal. But within months, or within the time that she was leaving him, she found out that she had cancer. And so that last year of her life, she wasn't with him, and he got to watch her live her life without him as she dwindled away and passed. And I talked about it, and he kept saying that it was probably easier for him because he doesn't know if he could have survived being married and living with her as she passed. That might have been too overwhelming for him. And, that's just a perfect example of the way the great divine works. And we don't always realize it. Like, with my first husband, we got married in 2003. So if he was alive, we would have been together for 19 years. And, that would have been super hard for me. Because, we were separated when he died. But when I went to his place, I lived in his cheeky for a month. I didn't leave. I didn't go anywhere. His Chiki was on the farm, so I would go to the store at the farm and get some food, and I lived off of that. I think I went shopping there twice. And I just lived in that Chiki for a month while they were doing the investigation and arresting everyone and getting all the evidence together and everything. And I didn't want to leave. And I wouldn't have left if it wasn't for my second husband. Well, we were still boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, but he's like, you need to come home. You need to come home. And I was like, okay. My son was staying with my in-laws, so I knew he was safe, but I also knew that they were in a downward spiral with the whole thing too, because they were less aware of their son's lifestyle than I was. But I know the universe had us separate so I wouldn't have to be there for his death, because if I was, I probably would have died with him. And that was me, and my son could have died with him, because it was a robbery at his house. And if we were there with him, we would have all gotten shot. So I know the universe separated us so my son and I would survive the situation and stay in this lifetime so we could continue to evolve in these bodies. And I always had a feeling that when I was to leave my first husband, that he wouldn't be able to survive in the world on his own. And that used to make him really mad. It made me really sad. You know, and I even told him when we separated that, you know, you need to live your life. You need to experience life. There's things in this world that you need to experience on your own without me. Not that I want you to, but I know you need to. Just like I need to experience certain things without you, because we're not connecting in the way for us to progress it together. We have separate avenues to go through. And he got really mad at me when I explained that to him. But then after a while, over the years, he started to understand it. Like there was, whenever I would visit and we would hook up. I mean, he was my first husband. He was my first love. He was my high school sweetheart. So it always happened. Generally, I wasn't with my second husband when it would happen. We broke up a few times. He was younger than me, and the relationship, it was strange. We always tried to have an open relationship, but then not. We would go back and forth. Like when I wanted an open relationship, he didn't. And then when he wanted an open relationship, I didn't. So we never connected either. And I know that the universe was trying to show me that struggle, that he still wasn't the right partner for me in the end, maybe. No, I still believe that in the end that we are meant to be together, because there's certain connections that we have that I've never had with anyone else. I don't know, you know, I feel that the universe has me by myself right now, because there's connections to myself that I'm supposed to be learning that I'm being stubborn about. But it's not that I'm trying to be stubborn about. It's my subconscious and my conscious aren't connecting. They're still like, there's like this wall between them, you know. Piercing through the veil is sometimes the hardest thing to do. Sometimes it's the easiest thing to do. But to keep that veil open enough so you can see both sides is intense. And neither of my partners fully understood me when I started talking about it. You know, they both acted like they wanted to until they started getting uncomfortable, because it started going against their beliefs in their own mind. I've always wanted to have a very open mind to everything. It's like I believe in the infinite dimensions. I always have. I believe in reincarnation. I always have. When I would talk about it as a little girl, I got a lot of strange looks. I got picked on a lot. So I kind of closed up about it a little bit for a while. But then when I was comfortable, I'd talk about it. And then someone would say something and I closed back up about it. And I'm still going through that battle. I'm a lot more open than I used to be. But it's hard because, like, I want to be able to connect with my family more, but their religious views are so different than mine that I don't know how to talk to them about it, because there's so much in their belief that they're not willing to look at my perspective with a realistic image. Society has put so much of my beliefs and thought patterns into fantasy text that it makes it harder for me to live in my own sovereignty when I'm in the community, because I can feel their energies conflicting with mine and it hurts. That's the empathic part of everything. All right, here. Ah! Oh, that was way brighter than I expected. Don't want to move you too much. Way brighter than I expected. That kind of works, right? I just hope that lamp. Yeah, it's a cool lamp. It should be fine. I don't want it to burn my pillowcase. I am on a ramble today, but I did have a point to make. Reconnecting to my soul, my inner self. I love it. I want to share it and express it to the world. But I want to be able to share it and express it to the world without feeling judged. And that's probably my hardest part, because is the world judging me, or am I judging me through the world? It's still unclear. That's why I love watching the influencers I watch, because, they seem so strong in their sovereignty of who they are and how they exist. And I want that. I really, really want that. I want to be a part of that social circle of people that are free and comfortable in expressing themselves and not caring what other people think. I work towards that. I seem like I'm like that, but it's hard to not want to fit in. Even though I've never fit in anywhere. Yeah. Every time I thought I fit in, I didn't. Even with my partners, I never really felt fully connected. Yeah. Just wanting to love myself, connect with myself, but I can't physically make love to myself. I can only do it mentally. So that's the hardest part for me. I think the main reason why I love coming to Earth and being in the human body is the sexual experience. But I wanted to be with someone that's physically, aesthetically, intermingles with my body parts easily. No judgments on anyone about their physical bodies. I just know that I'm attracted to what I was raised with. And yeah, I that's kind of how it always ends up evolving. I get so attracted to the physical that I think I have mental connections, and then when I really get to know the person, they show me that they don't, after they've been with me, after they decided that I'm a little too crazy for them, because they don't want to let go of their society's conformities. It's one of the things I miss about my first husband so much. He hated to conform. I mean, he was a white boy with dreadlocks. Yeah, he was a white boy with dreadlocks and blue eyes, piercing blue eyes. Amazing. And that smile. When we would sit next to each other and be happy and we'd smile, people would say that we looked the same. But then we weren't always happy and we didn't look the same anymore. So much of him I miss. But I don't miss the fights. I don't miss his stubbornness. Definitely not. Sometimes he would get so mad at me, and I wouldn't understand it. Like, I couldn't understand how when you're with someone and they could love you like that. And it's crazy because, like, I don't know if you're a TikTok person, but you get into the TikToks and you get into, like, the personal reflection stuff. And, there is this one TikTok that goes around and it talks about if you're willing to yell at your partner and you're willing to curse at your partner, then you don't love them. And if that's true, my partner's never loved me. And that hurts a lot. Because I still love both of them so much. No, it's crazy. I don't remember the fighting. I know it was there a lot. I know it was unbearable. And that's why I'm alone now. But I don't remember what the fights were about anymore. Because all I can remember were the good times. All I can really remember are the good times. But then sometimes I can't remember anything. A lot of times I can't remember anything about my life anymore. They say you never forget your happy moments. Well, I think I've forgotten all of them. Like, when my first husband and I got married, it was the first time I was reunited with my dad in 17 years. We had a barefoot wedding. The first time I saw my dad was maybe 20 minutes before he was walking me down the aisle. I saw him for like 20 minutes the night before, but there were like 50 people around. We were all sitting down and eating when he showed up, because everybody was helping decorate the house for the wedding. It was a sunset wedding, so we were able to prepare for it the whole day of, but we did some preparations the night before. Thankfully it didn't rain in between, but yeah, it was pretty crazy, because we had a really bad omen after about 3 days after our wedding. My favorite cat was poisoned and made it to our yard and died in our backyard. We had 3 other cats, and he was our only male cat, and the other 3 were female. I always thought we were going to buy that house, and burying Scrappy in that yard. I always thought we were still going to be with him, or he was going to be with us there, but we didn't get to stay living there. Landlord wanted to jack up the rent. It was crazy. Like, the neighbors warned us that it was a slumlord, but we were just so happy to be in the house that we were like, oh, okay, we won't let that happen to us. But it did. So, yeah, we lived in that house for over a year and a half before we moved. And, yeah, so the first year we had our lease, and then the second 6 months there was no lease, and I kept asking for a lease. He wouldn't give me a lease. Then when he finally did, he wanted to raise the rent $350, and we're like, what? We weren't ready for that. And then he told us we had like 30 days to move. So we were scrambling, trying to figure things out. We wanted to buy the house, but of course he had it listed too high, and my in-laws wouldn't co-sign for it because it was too much. But if we had stayed there, life would have been so different. It was the perfect house. It was on a cul-de-sac. We had a huge backyard. We could have put a pool in that backyard and still had a full yard. Instead, we moved back in with my mom. And my mom and my husband got along for a while, but then they didn't. So, and then when my mom and my husband weren't getting along, then he and I started not getting along, because I was being pulled apart between both of them. And so he tried to move, but he didn't have ambition. He was falling into his depression. It was always a struggle for him. It's always a struggle for me. But, yeah, he had a series of events that pushed him really deep into his depression. There was an accident at his work, and his best friend, who was his coworker, was killed. And then a year after that, he lost his job. And after that happened, I lost my husband. Like, he was just a shell of a man. And I tried for years after that. Like, I started working full-time again, and didn't seem to matter. It didn't seem to help. Didn't seem to change anything. He was still mad. And then he was taking all his anger out on me. Did you hear my stomach? I don't know. That was a loud one. Reflections are hard. Really hard. Yeah. And this is my second husband. He blames me for everything that ever went wrong in his life now. And says I stole his life from him, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, we had a roller coaster of a relationship. We broke up like 4 or 5 times in 8 years. And he always came back to me, because it was always his decision to break up or get back together. I just always kind of went with the flow, because I enjoyed being with him. He made me happy for the most part, but I was only half a person. I'm still only half a person. Just my other half is still with my first husband, even though it didn't end graciously or anything. I had known him most of my life because we grew up in the same neighborhood. He was a year and a half older than me, so we didn't have classes together or anything, but we did go to the same schools. And so we had a lot of the same neighborhood friends and stuff. So I don't know if that kept us more connected because we had so much similarity growing up. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm just rambling a lot, and it's 41, almost 42 minutes in. Doing a lot of reflecting today. Yeah. So, keep sticking to my feet. I'll put my feet back in the bed. Yeah, I know. It's kind of tedious keeping this salt on around my bed as I touch it a lot. But I do like the feeling of having it in the room. And keeps the kinetic energies down. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. So, I'm not going to try. If you understand, you understand. If you don't, you don't. Alright. I really would rather be doing this in a bottle because it shakes better, it mixes better. And this cup doesn't quite hold enough water because I think it's like a 6-ounce cup. I'm not sure. Yeah. Losing your significant other, whether you watch them die or you're away from them when they pass, it still hurts just as much. So I still think about my friend when he lost his wife, saying to me that he doesn't know if he could have lived through it if he was with her when she passed. And when my first husband passed, yep, I felt the exact same way. That if I had been living with him when he died, I wouldn't have lived through it. Don't get me wrong, my son and I are not in the best place, but we're better off than we could have been. So that's my gratitude to thanking the universe for separating us before he was killed. Because I know I have a very strong will to live. Because I was suicidal as a teenager after I was raped. Or they call it attempted rape because it wasn't penetration. But there is sodomizing and stuff. I still never healed from that moment. Because no one believed me when it happened. There was no police report or anything. And it wasn't the first time I was sexually assaulted or abused. So I didn't really know how to talk about it with anyone because no one ever listened before. So why would they listen then? I did go... Sorry for not looking at you. Looking at my drink because it's really full. I mean, when I wasn't going to school, they forced me to go to counseling, but I never talked to my counselor about the rape. I just talked about the bullying at school, and one girl was threatening to beat me up. Yeah, and I didn't know how to deal with that, because back then they didn't deal with bullies. Like at all. Yeah, when I went to school, they still had the paddles. I was lucky I never got hit by the paddle. I was too quiet in school. But my first husband, yeah, I hit him with the paddle. And he'd be too embarrassed to tell his parents because he would think his parents already knew because, you know, authority figures talk to authority figures. Or we think authority figures talk to authority figures. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had holes drilled in the paddles so it would sting more when they hit you. So grateful now that if a teacher or principal hits you in any way, yeah, there would be direct repercussions. Mm-hmm. And that's why my generation has a different mindset than the generation that's growing up now. You know, the generation now, they can speak up. When I was growing up, we didn't get to speak up. So I guess that's why it's a little harder for me to use my voice. Because I'm always afraid someone's going to come behind me and hit me in the back of the head, saying, you're not allowed to say that. Mm-hmm. Letting go of that, even though I'm 48 and I haven't been in school in 30-something years. Sometimes when you're really down, that emotion, no feeling of waiting for someone to just hit you in the back of the head for no reason, builds anxiety inside of you, and you don't even realize it because it's just an old recall memory. It's not even real life anymore. So for all those principals out there that are now retired, I hope you feel all the pain that you gave us growing up. It was funny in my middle school. Vice principal, students found out where he lived. His house would get egged and toilet papered on a regular basis. I remember walking home from school, seeing his house and him having the gates and extra lights all around his house so his yard would be all lit up and protected at night. Yeah. That just shows you that that person did not treat his students correctly. Doesn't matter if they're rebellious or problem children, you don't do what he did. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he never got... I have no idea if he got reprimanded. But it was obvious he never got penalized because he still lived at his home with his wife. He never got arrested. He never went to jail. I was grateful for my principal, for my elementary school, because I can remember that first year in my middle school was not fun. But then when my principal from my elementary school transferred over to my middle school, things in the school changed. Teachers were nicer, students were happier. You could see the difference. It was really nice. I love that principal. He was the best. And, I moved around a lot as a kid, so I went to like 5 different elementary schools. So I was always the new kid, getting picked on, trying to fit in. So I never have really felt settled in any one place. I've moved and moved and moved. Every time I thought it was safe, I had to move. So that made me a very high anxiety child. But I tried not to express it to others. I always internalized it. So I lived in survival mode for so long, and I just didn't know anything else. And I'm working on not living in survival mode anymore. And I have moments of relaxation and sovereignty, but it still isn't sticking. I was hoping, through these meditations that I would evolve a little bit more quickly. Considering today is day 55, and I only have 5 more days of my commitment. I've never done a commitment this long before, other than a regular work schedule. Still didn't finish college. Because I always let my emotions from my relationships overwhelm me. I'm really excited about my new work venture, but I'm also really nervous because I have to start studying and doing paperwork, and that's just something I haven't really done since school, and I think it's been about 3 years. I only have 1 or 2 semesters to finish for my AA, but with the COVID and everything, I didn't do it. I know that they have a student loan thing, and I haven't done it, and I was supposed to take care of it before I married my second husband, and I didn't. And I know one time when I called when we first got married, and they're like, well, you can't make over such and such amount, and I know my husband did, so I just kind of hung up the phone. Now that we're separated, I need to start taking initiative and just... I can't believe it's 6 months. It still feels like yesterday. To remember to drink liquids, to remember to eat is the big thing still. For like that first 2 or 3 months, I lived in my room, and all I really ate was lentils, because I could throw them in the crock pot and leave them in the crock pot and just take a little bowl full and eat it when I felt like I was too hungry. Because the only thing I was doing for myself was making tea and sleeping and crying. Yeah. Try not to fall back into that. Try. I feel like I'm falling back into that. That's why I use that word. Because, I don't like that word. Because we do or we don't. Trying is open-ended. It's still just a word to get us by, to get through the conversation, to say, yeah, I'm going to try that. And then 5 minutes later, you don't even remember what you said you were going to try. So I'd rather say, I'm going to do that. Let's do that. What is that? Write it down. Say it 3 times. And then do it. It works better. I'm still not perfect at it, but it works better. All right. I've been rambling for 56 minutes here on day 55 of my guided meditation commitment inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It makes me really happy to say that when I say that, because it makes me feel like I'm doing something good for myself. Sometimes I feel like it's the only thing I do for myself. But I know I'm doing a lot more. I just can't recall it all right now. So, every little thing we do is an accomplishment. Drinking my drink, I woke up, I did my meditation. I'm doing a lot of little things for myself, even though I'm feeling conflicted. I'm still moving forward. And that's some of the best stuff, moving forward. We all have reflections of our past, but let's not dwell on our reflections of our past. When they come up, acknowledge them. Thank you for reminding me of it. And then letting it flow back out through you. Telling you that you're not needed anymore, that your life progression has changed. Having a conversation with your emotions helps a lot. I'm doing it a little bit more every day when they come up. It's easier when I'm by myself to have those conversations than with someone else around, because when you start talking to your feelings around someone else, they look at you funny. But you're like, oh, it's just me. And if they know you for a while, then they'll get used to it and be like, oh, okay. It takes time to find the right tribe when you're in transition. Transition is a beautiful thing. It's an amazing learning experience. It's where we can let go of the past and move into the present. Let the future arise. And not try to push it too hard. We don't want to get lost in our heads. We want to stay in our hearts. That's how we grow. Staying in our hearts. And with that, I say, I love you. And I love me. And you love you. I'll take care of me. And you take care of you. And we'll be good. It's gorgeous. Stay out there. So you have an amazing grand rising, you beautiful soul.